Welcome into live draft coverage here at the FFPC. We got a best ball tournament coverage for you. $200,000 grand prize, over $1 million in total prizes, $125 entry. Terp, you're our live draft coverage guy, but we had to call in some backup with you here.
We're bringing in the heavyweights tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining the show. Both of you guys are drafting together out of the 7th spot this draft. 3 picks already off the board: Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Travis Kelce. For both, I know your picks are going to be up soon. What's it like when you're drafting with someone? How much talk is there before the draft? I know you guys are both experienced. You probably know each other's strategies inside and out. But what's the deal with drafting with someone?
I think this will probably come pretty easy. Seems like, I don't know, year after year, every time me and Terp are talking, it seems like we're thinking along the same lines on a lot of things. Player takes are going to vary a little bit, but
yeah, we're pretty much on the same page. I mean,
yeah. I know so there goes Tyreek. No issues there.
Terp has been saying all these live drafts has been Tyreek Hill has been his pick at the in this, because Terp always gets on these live drafts. We said like 7, 8, or 9, but Tyreek off the board at the 104. You guys are on the clock.
What do you think?
So I'm fine either way here. I mean, Eckler and Bijan are both totally.
I will never draft Bijan myself. So I'm good with starting here with him, if you're good with it.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter to me. I have Eckler ahead of Bijan.
So do I.
In a vacuum. Just trust the offense a lot more. I mean, there's no skill level concern there. And maybe they don't have quite as many dump offs with Kellen Moore pushing the ball downfield a little bit more, but I think you just trust that offense. So
Eckler Robinson, you're up.
I'm with Eckler. I'm with Eckler on this. So
I like you there. What's going on? There we go.
I mean, I don't have anything against the Bijan pick. I'm
a Bijan hater, not overall, but just this year. I just don't trust the coach. There's 3 guys. Yeah. It's no surprises yet.
No surprises. Eckler been going at the 106, obviously.
There we go, right on cue. And I said there's going to be some wild cards with Team 9. And I like Nick Chubb. I'm not in any way saying Nick Chubb is not a good fantasy player, but not right there.
I mean, I feel like these live draft shows, they bring out the people willing to.
We always get one team that's like just totally like wild card. And I've drafted with Team 9 a bunch of times on these, and they always bring out some sort of wild structure.
Austin, I don't know if you're aware, Terp, do you think anything can beat at any point this year Josh Jacobs at the 103?
No. It was Bijan 1 and then Josh Jacobs 3 in our first coverage. Yep. I didn't know what to say. I was speechless.
Team 12 with I really like the CD. Whoever you're stacking, not stack, I should say, the double up with CD in these late rounds. Always a fan of Garrett Wilson and Waddle off the board. I know you guys are up here, but I'm intrigued after you guys pick and you go through that. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on Saquon, obviously, with kind of the contract situation, talks of a holdout, would he play, will he not, and how it's kind of affecting his stock. But you guys are on the clock. Obviously, the Team 9 here is a wild card already off the bat.
Anything's possible here.
But
let's see if they continue.
Nick Chubb's ADP is.
No, I mean, that was a good pick. Can't say anything negative about that. I'm all aboard the Tony Pollard train.
I mean, yeah, the Chubb's going at the 2.5, so not the most ridiculous reach you'll see, but certainly well above ADP. And you guys are on the clock. Devontae Adams on the board right before you.
This is pretty easy, I think. St. Brown here.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, I was assuming. But I want to hear both your guys' thoughts going back to it. Amon-Ra, great pick there in the mid-second. But I want to hear both your guys' thoughts on how concerned would you be about Saquon? Because Terp, I'll start with you, because you had initially said you were off the Saquon train this year. Then you kind of got back on it. Where are you at now?
I mean, it just makes too much sense. I mean, he's not going to hold out. Like, I don't think he's going to try to be that, like, face of the NFL, standing for the running backs and just hold out. I mean, what's his leverage? He has nobody behind him. Obviously, you saw last year. I mean, he was a monster. I mean, he faded down the stretch a little bit, but still, I mean, he was the guy last year. And that offense, it should be better this year. I mean, he's definitely my top 3 running backs.
Yeah, no concerns here. I did see something about discussions about a longer term extension started up again. I don't know if there's any.
It's just a question.
That, but yeah, I don't see him sitting out. I'm definitely interested. I mean, it seems like from that back end, I end up taking receivers in the picks where he's going usually. But if it falls right, I'm definitely not afraid to take him.
I'm curious to see where he goes if he signs, like when he signs, not if he signs.
I think he'll live just kind of in that same range.
You think? You don't think he's going to move up?
I mean, it'll just be kind of a flip. Like if you're in the 10 to 12 hole, it's just kind of a reordering, reshuffling.
The pissing yellow boys are not going to be happy with Saquon Barkley moving up.
Draft to draft.
I believe his ADP opened at the start of these best ball tournaments, even looking at the never too early. It was late first, early second, which is I was kind of where he's hovering now. But I wouldn't be shocked if you see a lot of those like 110, 111, 112 as a Saquon pick.
Yeah, just once everything's a little bit more certain. It makes sense.
So, I'd love to get Mojo if he could choose the Burrow with Higgins and Chase.
I'm all about stacking. I live by stacking in these, but that's too early.
Yeah,
way too early.
It's really early for T. Not really early, but relatively. I wonder how many of those there are, because T's been going at the 3-2, so I guess it's possible, but certainly an interesting start there.
Joe Burrow definitely, I would think, makes it to the fourth round. I can't say it's guaranteed, but
yeah, Burrow's ADP.
Yeah, I've seen some pretty interesting stuff lately on him with him getting pushed up ahead of Josh Allen, even without a stack, going ahead of Lamar. So it happens. So you're not up against it. You're not seeing a ton of fourth round Bengals stacks with.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Burrow, look it up. Burrow's ADP, guys, 4.5. So
I mean, it's definitely out there. So
I mean, it's okay pushing, but like I feel like you got to gamble a little bit.
Yeah,
that he comes back. I mean, there's so much more talent that you could take here that you're just reaching for quarterback. 3 running backs start on auto pick. Interesting. Good old.
I would like to talk. I mean, a couple of them falling, right? Taylor has been falling in recent weeks. Mojo has been all over that with his kind of fall. He's been going at the 2-3, and then you got Ramondre. Stock has been rising, and he's been going at the 3-2. So a couple of late values. Brees Hall at the board, and you guys are up.
Yeah, so I guess it just depends if you want to go with one of the one-off positions here, or.
I mean, to me, it's.
I'm pretty good
about these guys because neither are coming back. The first 2 on the list.
Yeah, I'm fine with Hurts if you want to do that. I know we're stackless at this point, but it's definitely
still
fine.
Gives us an option to get Goddard.
Yeah, I want to have some exposure to these quarterbacks.
I agree. So Hurts it is. I really was hoping Brees Hall fell. Because I'm like, he's like one guy that I'm just stuck on. Like I don't know which way to go on him. I know a lot of people are extremely high. I know a lot of people that are extremely low. I'm pretty sure you're in the extremely high category.
I'm mixing, man. I've got, guys like Brees and Bijan, I've got a lot of dynasty exposure, so it makes it easier to lay off a little bit and redraft. I don't know. It's kind of a crutch sometimes, but yeah, I'm definitely in on Brees.
I mean, the talent's there. He's definitely a league winner. If you could survive the first couple of weeks, I mean, when it comes down to it, that team.
Yeah, in tournaments like this, especially where all the money's at the end.
It's not the most uncommon thing also, but to see 3 quarterbacks go before Hurts is pretty crazy. And obviously you guys had mentioned still a lot of stack opportunities out there with Hurts. So value pick for sure, having a really good start to draft. I want to quickly gauge you guys. Jonathan Taylor has been falling. He's still going the last week at like the 2-3, but you've seen him slipping in drafts. I'm not a Jonathan Taylor guy. I've been pretty vocal about that with the Terpoilli on some of our past streams, but I want to gauge your guys' thoughts on his recent drop. And is there a reason why? Is it just groupthink? What's going on there with Taylor's stock?
Probably just a little bit of, he's had some injuries. There's some concern with, how efficient the quarterback's going to be. How much is it really going to open up running lanes for him? He's going to lose some goal line stuff. So I think there's a few different reasons for it. Okay, Terp, what are you thinking here? There's like 4 or 5 receivers I'd be pretty cool with.
I mean, you'll see all the people that I put in. They're all receivers. I mean, Lamar would be good here, but we obviously can't do that. So they're one of them. I mean, I'm fine with any of those 3 guys. I mean, is there anybody else you want to add to it? We might be able to push the last
guy that
last.
I haven't really gotten any exposure to that I'm very open-minded to would be Ridley. So
he's a guy that I agree. I mean, that offense should be.
Yeah.
So
I do think that Ridley and Kirk should be a little bit tighter as far as the ADP goes, but
I agree. So we'll go Ridley.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
So I mean, Ridley's tough because you're in on him, but then there's just, as we said, just that lingering feeling of just he hasn't played in years.
I
love that offense though.
I mean, you know who my guy is. I've pretty much made it known to the world.
Yeah, he's not coming back, but
he's definitely not coming back. But if he does, I mean,
but I've picked him off at like the 504 a couple times over the last week. I had fired off a bunch of best ball drafts because I was planning on staying out until at least July, and then I had this hernia surgery, so I had a little downtime and fired off a bunch of best ball drafts. So.
See, this is the issue with doing all these live drafts for Terp is people just know his drafting patterns by now as much as he's
negative about it. I mean, that's why like
it's only made worse that you have the same picks every time.
It doesn't make it easier. Like I can't really get a little different because I'm talking about the same guys pretty much every show. I think this is 3rd one so far. I've been 7, 8, 7.
Yeah.
So it makes it a little more difficult because you're trying to mix up your exposure, obviously, but you still want to get your guys.
Mm-hmm.
Good start by Todd. Very nice.
Mark Andrews, Todd in the 6th spot. Cooper Kupp, Mark Andrews,
Very
Lamar
nice.
Jackson, Brees
He has
Hall.
to be very happy with that.
He said he said in the chat, he said, you guys, referring to Monroe Brown, he said, you guys got a haul in round 2, but I got a haul in round 3. So he was feeling good about snatching Brees Hall from you there, Terp. DeAndre Hopkins late in this 4th round. It seems like the Titans and the Patriots are the contenders for his services right now. It's the latest report, so he's weighing the offers. Doesn't seem any more teams are in the mix. Are you guys both just staying away from him? Is there any value there? What are you thinking on?
I've been drafting D-Hop. I'm not sold that it's going to end up being one of them. I mean, the Patriots would be fine. They'd make him a priority, but I think this is him out stirring up some offers. He's trying to get some offers on the table, so he's got a little bit of leverage and see if he can get someone else, a real contender, to come pay up. He's trying to get. Have his cake, eat it too. Can't blame him.
I'm out. I mean, I think he's going to end up in New England. I just don't see any of these big teams that we all want him to go to step it up to get him. So to me, I mean, he's not somebody I've been drafting. We don't agree on this one.
Yeah, that's fair.
I just think if he goes to New England, I mean, he's going to get a lot of targets, but that offense is just such an unknown right now. You don't know if Bill O'Brien's going to turn things around.
I would think that would be just so funny if he goes back.
I don't want him to go to the Titans. I'll tell you that because
the Titans, I would
have all the Treylon Burks.
Yeah, that would be tough.
Yeah, the Burks, but I think often you said it. The Patriots, you said you wouldn't mind. I feel more comfortable if he goes to the Patriots versus the Titans. But
yeah, I would trust that quite a bit more.
Yeah, the one thing that's nice about Hopkins, even though he's getting older and he's probably slowing it down a bit, he's never relied on crazy athleticism, speed, right? It's a lot of just sure set of hands. So there's hopes that maintains Alexander Madison.
We have a chance here. Fuck.
I know. I know what you're thinking.
We're going to be fine.
Yeah, I would think so, unless our buddy tries to get cute here.
Todd is in the chat. He's on the clock right now, but he's saying in the chat that he's very thankful that you guys took Hurts so you wouldn't have snatched Lamar from him. He was hoping that Lamar would make his way back.
This motherfucker.
There was no doubt. He was sitting there giggling. I could just see his smile from here. He was fucking sitting there smirking. Eesh.
What a loser.
I mean, make sure you cut that one. We're not happy about that. I want that on Twitter tomorrow. I can just see him laughing, giggling. I'm sure he's probably sending us a message right now.
I bet he's in the chat. I want to hear.
I'm fine with.
Oh, he said he claims Judy was on the board, but then Judy got snatched.
Right. I'm sure. What are you thinking here? I'm frustrated.
I think we would probably pivot to Waller here. That's what I'm thinking. I don't see a real
drop
edge
off's coming at tight end.
Yeah, I don't see a real edge with receiver or running back compared to what's going to come back.
So I want to ask you guys, because Terp, I think you brought it up on your Fantasy Pros coverage. Are you? You don't want to get too into your strategy, but it seems as though there's that tier break after Waller in the tight end position against a ton of unknowns. Are you kind of in on just essentially getting a tight end within these first 5 rounds and making sure it's one of the big, not really big 7?
I feel like I have to. If I don't, it's just pretty much punt the position. I mean, there's a ton of guys late that I like. But after Waller, I mean, I don't know if I trust Evan Ingram this year. I think, depending on if you have Lawrence, that type of situation. I like Njoku. I like Freiermuth, but I'm not crazy about him. I mean, I'd much rather just punt the position straight all the way down, get a guy like Trey McBride, way, way down, and just hope for the best. But Waller is pretty much where my drop off is. I'm higher on him than a lot. I own him in pretty good spots, especially in best ball. So. Yeah, I mean, I just drafted Waller in our coverage last week, so I'm trying to mix it up a little bit, but Todd just has to be a smart ass and take Goddard for literally no reason whatsoever.
I mean, just no reason. Just no reason.
No reason. Anybody else? Right when he said I'm all right, I was like, fuck. This guy's right in between us.
I figured Judy or Goddard, one of them,
Yeah, just to try to be no surprise at all.
It's what you guys. It's what we get for you guys drafting live. I want to direct your attention. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on Team 12. I love their start: CD, AJ Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, Keenan Allen, then Akers, but then doubling up on the Charger receivers. Just kind of want you. We always do it kind of throughout the draft. We talk about the other teams. What are your guys' thoughts on Team 12 and how they're shaping up with it? I'm just intrigued by the Mike Williams and Keenan Allen picks.
I mean, I like the start. Love the start. I don't really love the Allen Williams without Herbert thing. I mean, both the only problem with the Chargers this year is obviously Herbert and Eckler are secure, but besides that, who do you stack with Herbert? Who do you feel confident with? I mean, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, they're older, they get hurt a lot, so there's a lot of questions with them. I mean, Quentin Johnson could be the best receiver out of the bunch of them. I'm not really the biggest fan of him, but let's back on the clock here.
You guys are back on the clock. Reviewing Austin and Terp's picks out of the 7 spots so far today. Went Austin Eckler, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jalen Hurts, Calvin Ridley in the 4th, and then last round they took Darren Waller. They're on the clock here in the 6th round.
Yeah, I gotta say I don't love this spot.
I mean, I think one of these 4 that we have in there come back. It's just the question of which one.
Yeah.
I think the second guy got a chance to come back.
Yeah, I think so.
The question is which do we take, one of the 2 receivers or take White?
Probably. I probably fire another receiver here.
Which one?
Neither
are coming back.
Yeah, let's go Burks.
The more Burks, the merrier. I own so much of that guy that last year I owned so much of him. Between him and Christian Watson, they're going to dictate a lot of my season this year.
Yeah, just no D-Hop. I mean,
no, definitely no D-Hop. We don't want him there.
That'd be a big problem for Burks. It's just not enough volume.
I love Todd's draft. I'm trying not to say anything nice about him because he really pissed us off. But Michael Pittman.
Having a good draft.
I don't see that. I know he's all about getting different exposure to players, but Michael Pittman's one guy that I drafted a ton last year, and he was a massive letdown. Yeah, I don't see how it gets any better.
It's not Michael Pittman the player; it's Michael Pittman the situation. I think he's super.
But
it's Matt Ryan was awful. Anthony Richardson's gonna just be rushing all over the place. And Terp, I think I've said it now every single draft coverage, right? I love that receiver room. I love Pittman, Pierce, and Josh Downs.
You're a minority. I mean, I like them, but
not for fantasy. I'm talking about as players. I think that's a good young receiver room, but I just don't think they're gonna have enough volume to have people throwing at them. But do you guys have any consideration of Deontay Johnson instead of Burks?
It was one of those two guys. They're the two guys we were talking about.
I mean, Deontay, I feel like is one of the trendiest. We always talk about fantasy Twitter. One of the trendiest, just positive regression, right, or just positive back to the mean. Just the no touchdowns. You assume that's going to bounce back. Matt Canada's there, so no real confidence in the Steelers' offense getting better, but maybe invest in the O-line. But yeah, I like Deontay Johnson. I still think he's a value.
No bigger George Pickens fan than the guy to the right of me.
Oh yeah,
loves George Pickens.
So no, again another good young receiver. We're just this situation. This Matt Canada stinks.
I think Kenny Pickett takes the next step. To be honest, I mean,
I don't understand
obviously, I wish they brought somebody in with a little more of a better developed mind when it comes to offensive play calling. But I think
that's a nice way to say it.
I mean, that's the nicest way I can say it. I would have said something a lot meaner, but I mean that's. Kenny Pickett, I think, takes the next step. This is a question of does he get those three guys, obviously with Freiermuth too, to a level where they're fantasy.
So James Conner going could be a bit of a problem for us. That kind of tightens things up. Where
I still think the guy that we were talking about,
because he's one that he's fallen to the late 7th. I've seen him mid 8th a couple of times. So
yeah, right on cue. This is not going well.
Hey, Turk, what do we say? The drafts that aren't going well are the ones that work out.
You are 100% correct. When I don't like drafts, you're usually the ones that do the best.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
I mean, this is the zone, right? I feel like every single draft we've done, I'm sure you guys have done it. This is a spot where just everything gets gross and ugly, and
it is a gross spot. I mean,
it feels worse than past years. I've said this before, but it feels just.
There's a lot of guys I like in this section. It's just some of these guys just got to push up a little bit because, like you said, this area it's kind of gross.
Yeah, I mean that we got
to see a run.
It could be interesting for you guys. Mike Evans 7-4. Dalvin, yeah.
I don't want this. Where do you stand on Dalvin Cook? I didn't really want him, so I was hoping he got taken.
He's fine. I mean, like I would have taken him here just based on the way the board was shaping out. Like, what is the 5-hole doing? I mean,
yeah, they're the.
Okay, so we're going to keep pushing here then.
I mean, I don't see personally anybody that at the running back position that I would push up.
No.
It's one of those two guys. I'm fine with either. I probably would just take the gamble on 2. And
just going to look at the schedule here quick, see if we've got anything that makes sense. Not really. I mean, either one's fine with me. I'm kind of biased, but
I like your bias, so I'm going to go with your bias.
All right, let's do
that. Okay.
Well, we just talked about him, so we have to
just talk about him. You're almost waiting for him to get picked.
You could probably figure out who the other guy was. It's not like he's going to make it back to us, so we could talk about him.
Until he does make it back to you.
I mean, it hasn't happened yet. So
also, I'm giving you
a couple picks here, but I don't think
we're going to find some value here eventually.
I want to hear the floor is yours for George Pickens. I want to hear the spiel.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm just totally in on the talent. The whole thing with him is everyone's all up in arms about the separation. Like, first full year coming off the ACL. I mean, what did you really expect from him last year? Rookie quarterback coming off the ACL. He had, came back for 1 game with Georgia before his rookie season. He's just a freak show as far as ball skills go. I don't know. I think a guy that can do the difficult things and make them look easy. I trust him to figure it out. Like, I don't think this is a Kenny Galladay situation. So
Yeah.
that's it. It's pretty simple for me. I just kind of think the cream rises, and I'm not that worried about the separation issues. I mean, like I said, if he can make the difficult catches look easy, I think he can figure out the little stuff. So
Not necessarily sandwiching you guys, but between team 5 and let me do it in team 9.
I don't know. Team 9, I
Fascinating
told you, is a
draft.
wild card. One receiver, and it's Chris Godwin, 2 quarterbacks, no stacks. I mean, anything's possible, but
some interesting builds for sure.
I mean, there's definitely some good bids. I like what Team 11 has done. Like I said, he came in second last year in the Best Ball Tournament, so definitely knows what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Betting on Jacksonville offense, can't go wrong there. Obviously, with the receivers to start off, nothing negative to say there.
A little bit of a wonder, as we kind of said, that second tier tight ends, Frymuth and Njoku quickly off the board. Wonder if you see a little run here. You guys are on the clock again. It's Pacheco goes is your running back situation. It's going to be another kind of interesting pick. I'm intrigued to see where you guys go. We are through in the middle of the 8th round. Dave Terp, Austin Martin drafting live here in the FFPC Best Ball Tournament. $200,000 grand prize to the winner. Over 1.2 million in total prizes. You can sign up now at myffpc.com. Drafts are going off every day. Javonte Williams off the board.
This is an easy one.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Javonte isn't a guy that I've been drafting, but I guess there would have been a discussion to have between him and James Cook.
I just can't get the Javonte Williams. That injury is so bad. I know the positive press he's getting that he might be ready to go early in the season, but he could be a league winner, but you got to get there first.
He has no kneecap. That's all I come back to. No knees.
I haven't drafted him once in any draft that I've done so far. I could regret it.
I haven't either.
But
Austin, you're a big dynasty guy. What's his? I'm assuming his value is probably a little better in dynasty. You're hoping, but for this year, I just go back to. But what's his dynasty?
It's held up a little bit. It's held up a little bit. Like I think he went like the 5-6 turn in the 5K startup. So, right in the range where like he went right after we took, I think, Rashad White, Akers went in that range, guys like that. So he's fine. I have him, I think, in 1 or 2 spots, and I have P. Ryan in, I forget if it's 2 leagues. We might have unloaded him in 1. I think I have him in 1 2.5K, and we picked up P. Ryan for a third. So it's, makes it pretty easy, but he wasn't a guy that I was really in on from the start. So
how many dynasty leagues are you in?
45.
That's it. Rookie numbers. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a full-time job, man.
Scaled it back a little bit.
What was the max?
I think we had like 65 last year, something like that. Plus the redraft stuff. So it just gets to be a little too much. I'm trying to stay under that 3 figures threshold. Makes Wednesdays a little more manageable.
I can only imagine just if maybe people who are coming in, they're just getting into high stakes fantasy and they're hearing that and they're like, Jesus Christ.
The dynasty stuff I think that the teams are pretty good generally, so it's less waiver work and you're holding more rookie guy, like rookie tight ends, you're stashing some guys at the end of benches. So it's just not as much cycling through. I mean, you're still active, but it's not to the same level.
So Terp, I got to ask you, anytime you do it, because you proclaimed him early on in the process, your guy, passing on Antonio Gibson for James Cook. Is Cook above Gibson on your board, or is that just sometimes diversifying assets?
Just mixing things up. I mean, I have Gibson a little bit higher, but I like Cook, a very good amount. I mean, the running backs in this range I actually like more than most. Not a Javonte Williams guy. Pacheco I drafted in the Fantasy Pros draft. We just did it, but I just felt like it was a good value at the time. Love Gibson, love Cook. Dalvin Cook's not somebody that will be part of probably any team that I draft. I just don't see a path. I mean, Miami, I guess, but even there, I mean, it's just a muddy situation. Like the best situation for him is go back to Minnesota.
Yeah, it always was. I can't. I was pretty vocal about that.
What is Team 5 doing? This draft is insane.
They are having a fantasy draft.
Autoing the whole draft, which is just
it's best ball after dark. This is what you get.
Do you think Dylan here?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
The only Packer that Balky doesn't like, AJ Dillon.
I don't know why he hates him so much.
Yeah, I'm an AJ Dillon guy. Quadzilla. I mean,
I feel like for this format, he's definitely
Yeah.
Makes a lot more sense. I mean, he'll get some spike weeks, and there's other weeks he'll be useless. But with Eckler, I mean, we should be fine in that department.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the better in best ball crutch kind of seems like it does get a little bit overused, but, you know, there's definitely players it applies to. I think Dylan is one of those. You know, he's going to have those games where he falls into the end zone a couple times. It's just going to be hard to know when.
Exactly. I mean, he's an impossible season-long start. I mean,
and then, you know, obviously if Aaron Jones gets nicked up.
Oh, yeah, he's a smash, but
catching up on some comments here real quick. Todd wants to let you guys know you guys took James Cook over him.
We're really upset about that, Todd.
Yeah.
And,
so sad. How about we just switch Cook for Goddard and we'll just call it a day?
Some questions. Any concern about Damian Harris there in that Buffalo backfield with the James Cook pick? Or that's all I need. That's all I need to hear. Just catching up. Henry Muto here in the chat. He's saying he's looking at the 5K dynasty. He's looking at. He's kind of funny. He said Rashad White went at the 408, Javonte at the 410, which is kind of awesome. Right when you were saying he was going at right around that 5th round turn. So. Certain just rooting for him because super talented back, right? One of the fantasy backs.
Is he in that league?
Henry, feel free to chime in if you are. But yeah, I think he's saying he doesn't see another 5K dynasty or is aware of one of them. But
in your bigger dynasty leagues, do you have a lot of like wild card guys who just like offer you the most ridiculous trades? I mean, I know you like blowing people up on Twitter that just send you some stupid.
I've tried to tone it down a little bit over the last couple of years, but you don't see a lot of the crazy offers when you get up like the 2500s and 5Ks. You just don't see a lot of that craziness. What do you think about?
I mean, I think two is just to end the position. Gets us with Waller. But I'm also good with the tight end too.
Let's see here. So, okay. Yeah, this is a little bit tricky. Boy, I could go either way here. I could go either way here with this one. What's your gut?
Let's push the quarterback. I'm just gonna go to tight end here.
Okay.
I think his upside is too high, especially in this format.
Yeah, that was my initial lean, and then rethought it.
I mean, I'm all about stacking, but I feel like we invested so high into Hurts that at this point, I mean,
yep,
we still have a couple different options. I think he's just like staring at our draft board and just. I mean, I know he's gonna. I already called him out on Twitter. He's like, "You guys are getting mad because I drafted the highest guy at ADP." That's exactly why.
Who was the one last year that you got sniped on, and it was the most obvious that they heard you talking about it? It was the dumbest pick too. Like
it was like a 14th, 15th round pick. I was like announcing that I was taking like 2 rounds too early, and I
think it was
wasn't even paying attention. And then I looked back, and he was gone. I had a nice rant that day.
I think it was Baker, like around 18 or 19, because you wanted to pair him because you were in on like Terrace Marshall late.
Oh yeah, my Baker love last year, that was really good. Idiot. What is Team 9 doing?
Well,
one receiver. I told you that I mentioned this before we went on.
Yes,
Team 9 is a wild card, and they are definitely coming to the table with that.
They're just gonna piss yellow just in the last 10 rounds.
The only problem with like people like that in the draft is like it makes you like change your thought process a lot more because like they're just such wild cards that like you don't like the guy always takes 6 running backs or 7 running backs in a row. You got to adjust a little bit because you don't want to get caught like pissing too much yellow and then having no running backs because that guy has them all.
And I mean, this is me putting my advertising hat on, but I think it's the truth is this is why you play high stakes fantasy FFPC, right? Is every draft is completely different. It's their ADP, right? It's everyone has their own unique philosophy, and you get people all over the place in terms of people reaching on guys a round or two ahead, or people fall. So it's always fascinating to see all the draft boards come in each year because each one just looks wildly different.
I agree.
About to be a quick first half of this best ball draft already done.
These drafts move. That's the one positive about doing
Yep.
them is they're done in an hour usually.
Yeah, we're cruising here.
Looking at, I'm going to highlight you guys. I want to hear kind of your midway point. Austin Eckler, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jalen Hurts, Ridley, Darren Waller. Gotta love the start to that. And you guys went Burks, Pickens, Cook, AJ Dillon, and Dalton Kincaid. Kind of hit a point where you had a couple picks where you're just kind of just knowing there. How are you feeling halfway through about it?
Yeah, feeling fine about it.
If you just switch out Goddard and Waller, I feel great about it. I mean, that's really the only thing that I would say is not that I don't like Waller, but it's just stacking obviously is big in best ball. So
if we could have stacked a little bit there and got some correlation with it, that would have been nice. But just kind of this is more of a confined league type team. It's the way it's kind of shaping out, just kind of didn't hit on the stack, but fine team. So Todd was thinking what we were thinking with Daniel Jones there.
No surprise.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to hear Todd in the chat. He's going to defend himself, but
there's nothing. I mean,
he's having a really good draft. I think he's having a draft.
I think he's having a really good draft. Personally.
It's fine.
I just love that. Right when I saw the picks came out, I saw him next to us. The first thing I said was shit.
Yeah.
For no other reason that he just knew he was going to get one of these.
I mean, with Andrews, I didn't think he was going to press that button. But
I didn't either.
This is going to be a sticking point for months.
Oh yeah, you got to make sure you get that clip. You got to cut that clip, save that for tomorrow, and make sure you tag him in and get him all excited.
I mean, I don't think. Yeah, I'm not even sure if I necessarily like Goddard better than Waller, honestly.
I agree with you 100%. I like Waller more, but just for the team structure, it makes more sense.
I mean, Waller, if healthy, is by heads and shoulders the best receiver. Although I like Wandale, Isaiah Hodgins, right? Impressed.
I think the Giants' offense is going to be a lot better this year. Some people think they're going to regress, but
yeah,
I mean, the receivers I don't think are as bad as people make them out to be. They're not great. They're not superstars, but I mean,
I don't know their
cap situation last year.
I don't know their cap situation off the top of my head, but I really thought they'd be in the market for a true number one, whether it be trade.
It makes sense, but I haven't heard their name once.
I mean, unless you consider the Waller trade, because obviously Waller kind of sometimes functioned in that Vegas offense less as a blocker and more just kind of a great pass catching tight end, but he's just never healthy. Although who knows the issues behind the scenes there in Vegas? I don't want to speculate, but who knows if that was beyond just some of him being banged up. But he's the top dog there in that Giants offense, assumingly in the receiving corps. Because Wandale's my guy coming off the torn ACL. Hodgins is probably the outside. Jalen Hyatt's running with the third string was the last report. So you guys said,
they got Slayton there too. I mean, they've got some serviceable guys. It's just a bunch of wide receiver threes.
Mm-hmm.
Auto pick. It's just a pain in my butt. Always. I mean, that team's dead.
You're in maybe like an 11-team league.
I think we're in a 10-team league. I think the
Probably.
2 teams are dead.
So we can take care of quarterback here and get the.
I think the upside, and we can get the.
Yeah, we got a little bit of a.
Yeah, I think we have a little bit of a window with the other position.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm good here. I'll do it. So we're set there.
Amon-Ra stack. Terp, I was wondering if it was going to be another division quarterback you were targeting one of you guys, but Jared Goff, Amon-Ra stacked. Talk to me about Jared Goff, because I think a name that I know he's not the sexiest pick, but if people are in on this offense like they're saying they are, look at Gibbs's Amon-Ra, Jameson Williams prior to suspension, you'd think that would boost Goff's ADP, but it's been pretty steady as clear QB2. I'm assuming you guys like his upside there if you're taking him as your kind of second quarterback here behind Hurts and stacking with him on Ra.
Yeah, I think the price was right. This is kind of right where he goes. Probably wouldn't have came back. I don't think we were
doubtful with what's after us. I mean,
Yeah.
Jameson Williams' team probably takes him, I would think, over Kendry Miller. But I mean, it makes too much sense. It ends his position. We probably don't take a third with Hurts and obviously Goff.
Yeah.
We're fine on obviously bye weeks. I'm not really worried about that. But we have St. Brown. We have other options that we could, mix in later and, way late that makes sense. So quarterback position, definitely happy with. And
I wanted to ask, it was a couple of rounds ago, and I know you guys are about to be on the clock here, so we can pause this, but my question is essentially best ball format. I know everyone's just assuming it's going to be a 6-game suspension, but Alvin Kamara in this draft going at the 9-10, that late in the 9th round, at any point, do you guys, in any of your best ball drafts, have you considered Kamara just as a possible kind of later round? Hopefully the Saints offense is way better than it was last year.
Jesus Christ. Twice.
Speaking of Saints running backs, Jamal Williams, Bigsby, Roshan, just a ton of running backs go off in the board.
I'm putting that on you, Aidan.
That's on you. Right when you started talking, I was like, dude, shut up. Put a cork in it.
I wasn't even thinking of Jamal Williams. That's on me. That is on
to me, I think we don't push and we just keep getting the receivers. I feel like we push the position a little bit more. I mean,
which you want the young one or the old one here? Yeah, it's kind of gross.
It is gross. I mean, you have any Odell love?
I mean,
I don't.
I haven't been taking them, but
to me, it's Sky Moore. But
I'm good with that. We'll let Todd have his stack.
Who? I gotta finish my question. What's the Saints running back you guys are drafting at their respective ADPs?
It's Jamal Williams.
I feel bad now. I do. I try not to. I try and keep my mouth shut. I did not make that.
I mean, I don't think it really mattered. That team had 2 running backs and one has 1 leg, so he was taking one. It's the question of which one.
Yeah. I would have liked to see one of Jalen Warren, Tank, or either of the Saints backs. I mean, I think Jamal will have first crack at it, but he's just a guy. He's a team guy, locker room guy. So, and they paid him. So he'll get some run, but I think it's, as the sample grows, I think it's going to become more obvious that, he's not special, right? He fell in the end zone a bunch of times. You could look at those end zone runs too. 1 yard.
Frustrating too. How many times did Swift get down there? And then Jamal Williams comes in the game in fantasy.
That's what happens when the coaching staff hates you. I wonder what DeAndre Swift did. It had to be.
He had to do something because, I mean, I'm very excited for him in Philly, but still, there's got to be some red flags in the closet. Like nobody was more in on him than they were. Everybody knew that he was getting traded.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I mean, the guy was good whenever he was used. Granted, it was, a little bit choppy as far as availability goes, but whenever he's played, he's been efficient. So it's not like he's been bad, just kind of soft.
A question in the chat for you both in regards probably to your golf. Obviously, you stack with him on Ryan. When you're targeting a backup quarterback here in a best ball format, are you looking to make that a stack? What's the rationale behind stacking with your backup?
I think whenever you can, if you're not pushing, I'm not trying to push a guy around up, but if he's kind of right in the same range where he's going, I'll lean into that. I think we were on the right track there, both with looking at Daniel Jones and Goff. Those were the 2 guys I would have wanted. For example, I would have taken either of them over a Russ, or I guess that's the only other,
probably Rodgers. I mean, Jordan Love, but I mean, we don't have any backers, so there's no real point of pushing him.
Yeah.
But I live by the model. If I don't stack, I'm not happy. I mean, Jalen Hurts is really the only quarterback, and I'm not saying that because we're stackless, but he's really the only quarterback that you can kind of get away with it because he has that rushing upside, and he could do with the schedule they have down the stretch, like you've seen him put up 30 points, 30, 40 points. without, really getting the receivers involved. So with his 1-yard touchdowns and all that good stuff, let's see, we're on the clock. But besides that, like Goff with St. Brown, obviously Jameson Williams would be great. If sitting out 6 games doesn't really scare me. I mean, best ball, he's a championship winner at the end.
Guys are about to be on the clock here. 13th round FFPC Best Ball Tournament draft. You can sign up now for all these drafts. They're filling every single day at myffpc.com. $200,000 grand prize, $1.2 million in the total prize pool. Again, drafts filling every single day at myffpc.com throughout the summer into the first couple weeks of September. Donald Mooney off the clock. I was trying to bide you guys a little time as you guys are now on the clock and can discuss your guys' pick.
Yeah, it's getting a little dicey here with these running backs, but we gotta add a couple more.
I think it's 1 or 3. I think we can push 2 and get him on the turn.
Yeah, I think 3 is kind of a sexy name that could easily have the air sucked out of all that.
Just by any of these veterans,
by anyone. I mean,
I think 1's definitely safe.
Yeah, I don't love it, but it's amongst the options we have here.
Yeah.
So in your guys' build, I scrolled up a bit. You started with Eckler, so your current running backs going into that were Eckler, James Cook, and AJ Dillon. Terpoilli always talk about going kind of for upside. Austin, I would assume you guys said you have similar philosophies. You like draft for upside, but when you have only a couple running backs you're needing, do you sometimes in these later rounds go for a little more safety to try and help boost that position?
Yeah, I think that's kind of what we did right here, deciding between a guy that's viewed as a true handcuff right now, but
he went right after us, so we can talk about him now.
Yeah. So
this is the sexy name. He's been definitely
interesting. Yeah, he's kind of like turned into a meme. But I don't know. They could add anyone and forget about it. So I don't know. When you've got 3 running backs on the roster, like we did, and 2 of them are kind of, they're really like 45 to 55% type players, right? You're kind of limited there, so it's pretty thin. I think you want a player that you can count on a little bit more there. And I think Singletary is going to get that run. I don't see them going out and adding another running back.
No, I agree. Jerome Ford could be that. Jesus, Jerome Ford could be that popular preseason name that you hear every year.
Yep.
That everybody's starting to draft, push up, like the Terrace Marshalls of the world.
Yeah, there goes Gainwell.
Yeah.
I saw you went off the board, and I was going to ask it. I'm assuming Gainwell.
I guess we're just going stackless. I mean,
Evan Silva today. That's just he was a trending name on Twitter. I saw because Evan Silva said he very well could.
He's another popular, and everybody's been talking about Gainwell this week, and I agree with what they're saying. But there's so many mouths to feed. You need an injury for Gainwell to reach.
But I think that's the idea. Is Penny and Swift have shown no ability to stay healthy, so you just have to assume both of them are going to get hurt at some point. But Boston Scott against the Giants, and then Kenneth Gainwell is all there is. So.
I'd say we can add another receiver here.
I don't have one, so I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah. There are a few decent options here.
3 or 4. Where do you stand on 4? It's right up your alley.
I've been kind of staying away from him. But I could see him having value. I'm kind of interested in number 1, but
hit it.
Yeah,
I'm 4. I love 1. Love his talent, and I can see something moved.
This might be the first time we've one of the people joining us live is taking him, but we've talked about him a lot. Marvin Mims again. We talked about the athletic.
One of my favorite guys coming out of the draft. I mean, it's just Sean Payton's first draft pick.
Yeah, I think you're going to see some big splash games from him. Again, it's a rookie receiver. It's going to probably be hard to pick when those games will happen. It's kind of the nice thing here.
Are you betting on Russ this year? You think they take? He can't be any worse.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic. Mims was inside the first 2 rounds of rookie drafts, he's the guy that I own the most of. So definitely betting on that and kind of betting against the other talent around him. Sutton just kind of seems like he's getting a little dusty. And I don't know that they're going to want to pay Judy. So seems like the opportunity is going to be there.
Seems like the perfect storm. Tim Patrick coming off the injury. I mean, he's a good NFL receiver, but nothing more. Tight ends are okay, but it's definitely some potential.
It's going to be one of the most, I feel like, constantly talked about stats that gets hyped up too much, but so many people already are just going to bring up how Russell Wilson finished his last 3 games of the season. After all of a sudden he finished, I believe, top 5 each of those weeks, and they're saying, oh, maybe it's there. I don't know if I'm buying all to that because the other 13, 14 games were just absolute dog shit. So, but that's just going to be a trendy stat that people are going to share with the idea of that Denver offense adding Peyton, and maybe you saw some late life from Russell Wilson, but no, Marvin Mims sniffs of a guy. The training camp videos drop, preseason happens, and he's just going to explode.
Yeah, I could see that pretty easy.
I got to admit, Team 1, I do like the little – it's because of the price, the James Conner, Marquise Brown, Kyler Murray, assuming Kyler does come back in somewhat.
I love Team 3. Big fan of Team 3.
Take a look at Team 3.
Kelsey and Mahomes, Love and Watson, mix in some other talent. Obviously, Henry with that schedule at the end. I'm a DJ Moore fan.
Tango and Cash. Yeah, he put that one together pretty nice.
They did really well. Tight ends, obviously, no real weakness there.
Yeah, 2 upside tight ends for sure. Dave Flowers, who's we talked about last show, that's my Baltimore receiver if I'm taking one.
I agree. Bateman, I'm starting to move to Flowers. It was Bateman, but something about getting an injection in your foot has me worried.
Yeah.
So wide receiver seems like it's going to really fall off here.
Very ugly, I agree.
So I would say we could take one of these guys, 1 or 2, and we won't be done. Probably need 2 more receivers, but I'd say receiver here makes the most sense based on what's left.
It would be 1 for me.
Good with that.
Not really any excited about that, but
yeah, I mean, there's value there.
I like him more than most. I feel like you saw some of the splash weeks he had, especially at the end of the season. And he got a lot of people to making all the money that they made, especially in best ball. But I mean, the rookie. I mean, you're the Minnesota guy. Are you buying Jordan Addison? Is he?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's legit. I think he's gonna contribute right away. But yeah, it's a fair question of, is he going to be a full-time player right away? I'm not totally sure about that. I think there's just at this point in the draft, 15th, 16th round, I think just even contingent value on an Addison injury or Jefferson injury, makes Osborne worth that pick.
I agree.
I wanted to talk about one of your picks. We didn't really cover the Sky Moore pick, obviously. Rough rookie season, didn't really do much, but then kind of broke out in the Super Bowl. Played really well there. Are you guys, took him, assuming you're buying the upside, right? Kansas City kind of rolling with the one they had.
Yeah. Post hype. Someone's got to catch some passes there.
Mm-hmm.
Juju gone.
Kadarius Toney is the absolute biggest wild card in fantasy football, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, his range of outcomes is all over the place. He's probably the most polarizing player in drafts right now. He could easily be top first-round pick next year if things go right.
There's a great.
He easily could be out of football.
It was
but
NBA draft is actually where I heard it. It's Kadarius Toney, and they used it to describe one of the prospects there. But Kadarius Toney is probably the biggest difference out of any player in fantasy this year between floor and ceiling.
I agree.
I don't think not a single other person comes to mind.
He's probably just going to crush people in managed leagues because you're gonna be chasing that upside because he's going to flash. He's going to have a few of those big games, and then people are going to stick him in, and then he's going to come up lame. It's
2 for me.
2, yeah, yep.
Yeah, Terp. I'm just bringing it up because we had a pretty relatively recent show with Fansfors. You said that Malik Davis was one you were considering. I believe Terp. I might be misspoken that you said, and maybe if I redid it again, I would go with Malik Davis.
Correct.
Zeke doesn't go back to Dallas.
I don't care if Zeke goes back to Dallas. Zeke is as dusty as you're going to find. I mean,
Yeah,
Malik Davis has talent. I mean,
Tony
Pollard's not going to. Tony Pollard's not getting 90% workload. He's gonna get plenty of work and a lot more work than he used to get. But somebody's going to get brought in, whether it's a rookie or whether it's Fournette or Zeke or Kareem Hunt or one of those guys. Maybe Ronald Jones from back from the dead.
Yeah,
somebody's going to get work, and I think Davis is the best bet at all.
Just catching up a couple comments in the chat. Bill Hollywood in here, he's saying this year he'd much rather gamble on the tight ends than the quarterbacks. And I have to admit, obviously there's that tier break we talked about, but some of these late tight end values, I very well could not pan out, but a couple of them are fun, right? The Michael Myers, we talked about, obviously it's 10th round, so a little different, but
we talk about group think a lot. That's the popular mentality this year. Piss yellow early, get the middle round running backs, mix in one of the elite quarterbacks, in the Lamar Fields, area, and then just ignore tight ends. The only problem with that is groupthink doesn't always work, and everybody else is doing it. So it's hard to, in some of these leagues, like literally everybody's doing the same thing. So when you're doing the same thing, it's usually a recipe for disaster.
I mean, it's tough to predict, but you kind of talk about the group think, which because everyone's been seeing that kind of that dead zone of receivers is rough this year, and people are loving those remix. And
the running back values with the Cam Akers, Rashad Whites of the world, I mean, that just makes so much sense. Building with the big time receivers, the Garrett Wilsons, the Waddles, wherever you draft. It just makes so much sense, but that doesn't mean it's going to work.
In the best ball format, though, my question is, could some of those teams that do the unthinkable, the old school, and take a couple of running backs early might benefit, right? They're going to have a couple of starts that aren't as common. And who knows, right? It's kind of the group.
In these drafts, you got to be different. Like every once in a while, you got to throw in some curveballs because, like I said, everybody knows at the end of the draft it's going to be CeeDee Lamb, Garrett Wilson, St. Brown. If you throw in a mix up your structure a little bit, even if you push up an Olave or somebody like that, just to make your team different, you're going to be one of the only teams in the tournament. And when you get to like actual money rounds that matter, I mean, you're giving yourself such an advantage over everybody else.
I think you can definitely do it. You can build teams with either 2 or 3 running backs out of the chute, but you really need it. You really need it to fall favorably.
Yeah.
I did it recently, and I was pretty happy with it, but I ended up with Dotson in the mid-8th, and it just doesn't usually happen.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta get some luck to be able to end up with a team you're happy with.
Because if you're doing that, you're pretty much going to ignore almost guaranteed 2 positions, and it's probably going to be tight end and quarterback. So you got to have. I
went Eckler, JT, Brees, Lamar, and then rattled off 4 receivers. And I was pretty happy with that, but again, it doesn't always peel off that way.
As you said, if the receivers don't kind of fall your way, or just
you're gonna get 3 receivers between the 5th, 6th, 7th.
Probably 4 for me,
but the 8th it gets tough. Yeah, good with that.
I mean, I feel like it gets dark after that. I feel like you're making a bet on James Conner.
It's a good bet to make.
I mean, I love James Conner this year. Everybody loves James Conner this year because he fits in that build that everybody wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the season, they're going to be bad. So you're just hoping Ingram emerges this year, and they shouldn't be adding any of these Hunts, Fournettes of the world. So if he takes the next step, it makes sense, especially playoff rounds, things like that.
I mean, Conner, again, I believe 2 out of his now 5 or 6 years in the NFL, it's been healthy. So more than likely he's going to miss some time, and Ingram's only there. And just who else is in Arizona? Just might as well take the shot.
Where are you on Kyler Murray?
Just kind of been
in the middle,
avoiding him. I mean, I picked him up he got cut in one of the 1250 single QB leagues, and he just was dropping like a stone. And so I went up and got like the 301, picked him up for cheap for like a late third and a future third. Thought that type of a price in a dynasty league was pretty appealing, but I don't know, man. Seems like it's just getting a little bit too cute for me in redraft and best ball, holding a guy that most likely going to be out half the season, possibly more. If he does play, they're not going to
the
want him
situation he
running.
comes back to is rough. Yeah,
They're not going to want him running nearly as much as he has before, coming off that injury with a team that's got nothing to play for. Just
you want them to win games early if you're a Kyler Murray supporter.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen though.
I agree.
I mean, so these receivers all suck.
They all stink. You're just betting on talent at this point.
I kind of like Wandale.
What about 6?
I don't see 6. I see 5 in the queue.
Yeah. I'll just say. What about Logan Thomas?
Ooh.
You believe at all in the Eric Bieniemy tight end?
Tight end offense, yeah.
No.
Wandale for you?
Wandale for me. Yeah.
We're good with that. I don't have any Wandale, so
yeah. You're making me think this though. That Logan Thomas is interesting. The Green Bay rookie sounds like he's going to be day one. So I don't know. That's also a little bit interesting.
We still have 2 picks left.
Well, there he goes.
Right on cue.
Just wanted to point out, we talked about Team 9. They had one receiver going into the 11th round. It was Chris Godwin. Since then, they've gone Jacoby Myers, and they took Bigsby, and since then, routed off Thielen, Mingo, Rashid Shaheed, John Mechie, Tyquan Thornton.
Jeez, what a group of fucking misfits.
I mean, I'm not going to say I don't like some of the players, but like
in the term of the build
is just like, hey, everybody's build's different. You can do 3 QBs, you can do heavy tight. It all makes sense if you structure it right. But
what I will give them credit for is they took their foot off the gas after round 12 with the Tank Bigsby pick. Like, if they don't pick any more running backs here, I think they at least built it the right way.
I would think that it's probably going to be receivers all the way out. This is how I think it's a she, but I'm pretty sure that's how they build every draft. It's always whatever way, it's all receivers or all running backs or whatever it is early. And then the last like 8-9 picks are all the same.
I'm sure you guys have it. You have friends, propaganda you hear, influences. I have a friend who's a diehard Patriots fan. The amount of Tyquan Thornton love I've heard this year is off the charts. I'm convinced this kid's convinced he's the second coming.
He's also a name that's been moving up draft boards. But if they sign Hopkins, that movement's going to stop in seconds. Yeah.
But I mean, he's a talent.
Like the kid. No negative things to say about him. I think he's a talented kid. I think he's without Hopkins, their best receiver, including Juju.
Don't trust the Pats to sustain.
I don't trust the Pats. I think they're just so far distant fourth in that division.
Yeah.
Even like shootouts, you can't hope for.
Yeah, because their offense can't. They'll just get killed, or their defense will muddle things up. Ugh, yuck! Just saw Clyde Edwards-Helaire. The worst.
That's your boy. Nobody likes him more than you.
The worst. Top 5 least favorite athlete ever, Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
So I put a couple of running backs in there at 2 and 3. Do either of those names interest you at all?
I only see 2. He's not getting drafted unless we take him.
Yeah.
Your boy. But I don't see another one.
I just added another one.
Hold on, let me refresh it. I love one. Love that guy.
Yeah, I've been starting to add him at the end of drafts. He seems to get kind of just ignored.
I mean, it just makes too much sense. Like I said, it could take some time, but if one makes it to me,
I'm good with that.
I see what you're saying there. I like 3.
Seems like there's been some buzz.
I can't say I know anything about 2. 2 would be
Yeah, it's. I mean, I'm boots on the ground, and I'm not hearing nothing. So it's.
And we could also go, if you really want to get dusty, let me put him in now. 7 for the first how many ever weeks. He could have potential in that offense. I don't know if he popped in your screen yet.
Yeah, I see him now.
It's not sexy. It's definitely
That's
not
a great
sexy.
reaction.
It's not, but it's a viable player that it's going to be active. You don't have to
It's
worry about
definitely
that.
one for me.
Yeah, good with that, and then we can figure out if we want to fire another receiver.
How many running backs do we have now?
We got 6.
I love how they changed his name to Tank Dell too. That just gets me excited.
I'm fine. I'm fine sticking with the 6 running backs if we want to, but I would be okay with either of these guys too. Since we only have 2 quarterbacks and 2 tight ends, we are in pretty good shape at receiver.
I always go back to
I think receiver is probably where
we have 9 receivers. I mean, we're pretty good there.
Abib said one of these receivers in Houston is gonna put up good fantasy numbers, whether it be Nico Collins.
I like them all. I've been drafting them all.
Yeah.
It's just a question of CJ Stroud's probably my highest owned quarterback right now.
Really?
I mean, he's free, and
yeah,
they're a bad team. I think their receivers are a lot better than people give them credit for. Dalton Schultz is no slouch. I mean, I love D'Amico Ryans. I really think he's going to turn that team around. Defense is okay, but they should be in some shootouts in that division, especially if Richardson takes the step that some of us think he's going to. Jacksonville's obviously the class of the division. I'll bet on the Texans. I bet on the Texans a lot too much with Davis Mills a year ago. I don't remember. It was just pain. He was just a trash bucket.
Of the guys who've already been drafted, I don't want you to spoil anything for the competitors here.
You won't spoil anything for the 20th pick.
If these guys are going to appeal,
these guys get drafted, it might be time to close the computer. And just...
I wanted to ask in these last couple of rounds, who's your most kind of owned flyer that you're taking pretty consistently in these last, say, 3 to 4 rounds of the draft?
We just took Tank Dell. He's a guy, him and Wandale are guys that have started to increase. See, there's a sneaky one, Richie James.
Yeah, Richie James got asked about in the chat a while ago, actually.
It's a little sneaky.
I don't.
So both these running backs
personally.
You're good with one. Yeah, I mean the odds. You're really only betting on one thing with Eric Gray, right? So we're looking at Eric Gray versus Kenny Wangwu.
I don't even know who he is. I've heard of him, but I know he's a
explosive athlete, kick return specialist. There's been a little bit of buzz about him in minicamp. I mean, I think it's very ambiguous. There's a lot of people making a lot of assumptions about Ty Chandler.
The reason why
and
he
Dwayne
wouldn't be the
McBride.
worst pick in this pick is no one will own him. So if
No one
it does
will
work
own him.
out,
No one will own him. So
your pick, whatever you want. I don't care. I'm good with it.
I mean,
you want to get
Kenny's pretty explosive. He's pretty exciting. We'll just do it for the hometown team.
I like it.
And now, drafted after this, they're going to see this, and that's a name that they.
I haven't seen him get drafted in any of these so far.
Sure, was Marvin Jones your dusty option you were considering?
That is correct.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense for 6 weeks, but then after 6 weeks, I mean, Jameson Williams is going to run him over, and if that offense is still buzzing, Marvin Jones.
Yeah,
you saw him get phased out last year, and the talent was there.
Yeah, I think that's a guy that could give you a little bit of a fast start, and then as the season wears on.
But if he doesn't give you a fast start, I mean, he's a complete waste.
Total waste. So, that's the thing about a lot of these late round picks. I mean, a lot of these guys are getting drafted in 1% of leagues, so you have a chance there.
I'm going to ask you guys right before we wrap up. Terp, question specifically for you in the chat. Someone's asking you liked Bates earlier in the year, but now you're talking about Logan Thomas. Was that a change? Are you off Bates, or what's the deal with that?
I'm just picking them both. I mean, there's no taking a shot. I think I took Bates in the first coverage. I took Thomas in the second coverage. I'm just mixing in the position extremely late. I mean, like you said, we're taking some shots late with some of these guys that will be on them. No one's going to end Bates in any of these tournaments. So if Eric Bieniemy turns a tight end out there, could it be Bates? Am I excited about it? No, but for a 20th round draft pick to get somebody that no one else will own and a potential, turnaround of that offense by Bieniemy, you got to take chances. I mean, taking a guy, like you said, like Marvin Jones, where's the upside at? I'd rather have a guy that is viable the final 5 weeks of the season rather than somebody that is dusty like Marvin Jones.
We're gonna wrap it up here in a couple minutes. A nice, quick, just over an hour draft. You gotta love that. But reviewing your guys' draft, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on how you feel like you did. Austin Eckler, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jalen Hurts, Calvin Ridley, Darren Waller, Treylon Burks, George Pickens, James Cook, AJ Dillon, Dalton Kincaid, Jared Goff, Sky Moore, Devin Singletary, Marvin Mims, KJ Osborne, Malik Davis, Keontae Ingram, Wando Robinson, Tank Dell. Now I'm going to try pronouncing the last name.
I'm not even going to try either.
Kenny Wangwu.
Yeah, there we go. How do you guys? So, just overall thoughts on your guys' draft? How you feel? Your favorite picks? Things you wish you did differently? Overall, I think it's a very solid draft. It was a weird room to say the least. Obviously, Todd's in front of you.
Two teams kind of just like screwed up everything. Not like for us really, but just like in general with the structure of their team, they kind of like made things a little bit more challenging. I wouldn't say difficult, but just maneuver around what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm happy. I mean, what I obviously like, Jalen Hurts is the hardest quarterback to stock anybody with. If you don't,
I mean, St. Brown was just a true
great
gift
value
in the middle of the second. So, that's a great start. Other than that, nothing. It's pretty stock. I mean, Ridley fell a few picks further than he normally does. He kind of has been stuck at the 3-4 turn. So we got a little bit of value there. It's really the St. Brown pick that kind of made this team, gives it a little bit of legs. Otherwise, it's pretty regular. I mean, we didn't really have to push anyone up too much. We didn't really get a lot of great values. Kincaid fell maybe just a half round or so. I'm happy with the team. Doesn't seem like a world beater, but it should be competitive.
You just got to get to the dance. We'll figure it out when we get there. I mean, the team, like I said, are we light at quarterback and light at tight end? Obviously drafting only 2. Yeah, it's always a question with injuries and obviously Waller being a question. But like what I said, Hurts is the hardest quarterback to stack. If you have to push him up if you get A.J. Brown or Smith. I mean, he's not going to get, and I'm not taking him in the second round. So we tried to get Goddard. It didn't work. Am I sad about it? Not really. I mean, I like Goddard, but we obviously talked about how we like Waller better.
Yeah.
And Hurts can do it himself. He's the only quarterback that I think can do that. Besides him and Fields, I would say Fields too.
Yep.
Besides that, I mean, I would give it a solid B+.
There he is. He doesn't want to give A's anymore. We're at risk of jinxing. It's always going to be B+.
I don't think I've ever given a team I drafted anything lower than a B. I'm always confident.
No, that is true. You are. There's definitely been one. There's probably been one out there.
There might have been one. I think there was like once last year where I just got screwed in every spot.
Yeah.
And I think that team was actually pretty good,
but overall, it's always what it is, right? It's always the team that you don't like originally that works out. Austin, Terp, thank you guys for joining us as always. We'll be back Tuesday. We don't exactly know who's going to be on that. We'll be fair. Probably me and Terp will be on there. Tuesday
I'll be there. Won't be drafting this time. I need a break.
Fantasy Pros draft coverage on Tuesday. Terp, we've been saying it, but we got to do it. We'll find someone to hop on with us. Austin, you're more than welcome to if you're thinking, but we got to do a Superflex Best Ball Tournament draft. We didn't do one last year.
Superflex is not some.
No,
I'll commentate.
We're
make fun of people's teams, but
we got to get someone.
Superflex is like in what month are we in? June, July? I don't even know. Superflex is like I'll enjoy in February and March when I'm bored and I'm just trying to fill a team out.
No, we're going to join. We're going to broadcast it. We're an equal opportunity draft coverage. We're going to show all the.
We'll definitely get one on soon.
So the Superflex is in the books. Fantasy Pros coverage you can sign up for right now. We got 3 more coming up every single Tuesday live here on the FFPC YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Sign up for the Best Ball Tournament at myffpc.com. Win $200,000, $1.2 million grand prize. Fellas, thanks for joining us again. Hell of a draft. We'll see you guys the next time you guys hop on.
Thanks for having me on, fellas. It was a good time.